The representatives, not only from Russia and Ukraine, but also from the USA, EU, and UK, often gather in Istanbul. To what extent does Russia object to Europe being involved in the peace talks, given its militant stance? And does the Kremlin see the risks that Britain and the EU might attempt once again to dissuade Kiev from the peace talks, as they did in 2022?
On May 11, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, initiated direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. It is a case of direct negotiations. The Russian delegation is already in Istanbul, as stated by the president, and they've been waiting for their Ukrainian counterparts since morning, who have not come there yet.
Could you clarify at what stage the preparations for the meeting with US President Donald Trump are? Could it happen in the coming days, for example, in Istanbul, or is it not on the agenda yet?
No preparations for the coming days have been made so far. The issue has not been discussed or raised, so there is nothing to say.
The meeting with President Putin on preparations for talks with Ukraine also involved the commanding officers of our troops in the conflict zone. Could you tell us why they participated in this meeting?
They participated to report on the developments on the front line.
Media has reported that you said Putin would not come to Istanbul for Russia-Ukraine talks. Does it mean he won't be traveling to Turkey in the coming days?
No, there are no such plans at the moment. The Russian negotiating delegation is in Istanbul, waiting for the Ukrainian side, who are not present yet.
Donald Trump mentioned that he was still ready to come to Turkey if necessary for the peace process. Does this mean you do not rule out the possibility of Putin arriving as well?
We do not know how the negotiations will proceed. I reiterate our delegation is waiting for Ukrainian counterparts, and they have not come yet. We need to see how the talks progress. And of course, everyone is ready to put forth every effort to make them successful.
Why didn't President Putin go to Istanbul? What is the main reason? And is there a chance he might participate, if not in this round, then at some future point?
A team of Russian negotiators has been prepared. The composition was approved by the order of the Russian president. Russia's negotiation stance has been elaborated. Our delegation is in Istanbul today, May 15, Thursday. It is too early to say whose involvement, at what level will be required next, as we do not know if the Ukrainian negotiators will come or how the negotiations will proceed. The Russian delegation is ready and waiting in Istanbul.
Have you received any official information on who will participate in the negotiations from Ukraine? Has the timing of the meeting been agreed upon?
No, it hasn't. There are no details yet. It was known in advance that the Russian delegation would be in Istanbul on May 15, set to start direct negotiations.
Will our negotiators report to the president on the results of negotiations right away, or possibly take breaks to consult, align positions? Or was Russia's standpoint at these talks announced by the president yesterday in the Kremlin?
They will report as needed.
You said that our delegation is waiting in Istanbul and doesn't know if Ukrainian negotiators will appear. Is there a deadline? 11 p.m.? 12?
Alexander, did I say the phrase, it delegation, is waiting and doesn't know when they will appear? Did I say it?
You said, we didn't know if they would come. The Russian delegation is ready and waiting in Istanbul.
I didn't say delegation. Let's be careful. Ukrainians have not come yet, and it's unknown whether they will appear or not. Let's not rush the events. I'm commenting on the current situation.
When he arrived in Ankara, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the Ukrainian side would decide on negotiations in Istanbul after the meeting with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. What is your response?
I can't comment on that in any way. At least for now, our delegation is waiting, and they are waiting in Istanbul, not Ankara.